I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who does not like to exercise. Okay, I do like to exercise, but getting to the point of exercising, yeah, you know what I mean. The excuses, they come up left and right. I can make anything an excuse, guys. Especially if I'm already feeling like hurting um physically, um or even emotionally, or I'm just tired. I I can also easily manipulate the definition of laziness into being very tired and sleepy. Um but in all seriousness, exercise, right? It is such a popular topic, and there's a reason. Um, and there's a reason I'm bringing it up today in the 4 vital pillars of life. Now, of course, I believe there's more than just 4 vital pillars of life. For example, I think it's important to know the truth and have religion. I really believe that there's a lot more that would take a lot longer to go on about. But on your journey to becoming a successful, happy person, to becoming who you're meant to be, I find that these 4 are the very basic, and that if you go away with anything, you should definitely have these 4 pillars holding your foundation of life. Now, what are the 4? Exercise, sleep, food, and friendship. And exercise being the first thing I'm going to talk about today, like I said, is a very popular topic amongst our society. And there's a reason for that. Exercise isn't just, hey, my favorite pastime is, putting on my gym shorts and going out to hang out with my friends at the gym. Now, of course, we have, those people, and maybe you're one of those that you just like to hang out with your friends at the gym, and that's all cool. I'm not even going to talk about weightlifting, guys. I'm not here to tell you what kind of exercise regimen you need for your particular body type and whatever you're trying to achieve there. Today, I'm just going to talk about the benefits that you get from exercise, so to the fact that it really does greatly help you in becoming the successful person that you want to be. In my experience, exercise is been better than medicine at some times. Um, when there was a time that I was pretty down, and the last thing I wanted to do was even get out of bed, let alone get up and jump around. And I do have to say, after being told that how exercise releases the chemicals in your brain that improve mood, well, I gave it a try. I didn't do much. I did some jumping jacks. I did some push-ups. And that alone got me feeling better. My blood got flowing. The chemicals, the right, healthy, happy chemicals, what we know as dopamine, those got flowing, and I did. I felt a lot better. Now I'm not saying exercise magically takes your problems away, but what I will say is that it allows you to deal with the way you feel about situations in a much more productive way. The other reason I like to exercise is because it helps me get ready for my day. And that's why I like to personally do it in the morning. But I mean, if you're a night person, that's cool too. I just find that when I don't have energy, it's funny. We think that exercising is going to like take away our energy because you do get tired, especially if you're working out real hard. But it also gives you the right kind of energy. So yeah, while it's easy to be like, I'm tired, I have no energy, I dare you to do a little bit like I did, even just a few jumping jacks. Like, get your heart going and tell me if you don't have a little bit more energy afterward. And the other thing I noticed after giving birth and in raising my baby, my knees, my joints, they started to ache a lot. And to the point where like walking upstairs would even hurt. And so I started doing squats every day. And no kidding, my knees started to feel better. They were stronger, and that's because those muscles were getting worked the right way to be able to get stronger and strengthen the joints. You see, we also make excuses and complain about, well, it can be painful, or I'm already in pain and I can't stretch that far. I know, been there, done that, and I'm a walking testimony. That's because your body's not used to working that area or not used to stretching. And of course, what happens when you don't use something for a while? It doesn't work as much anymore. That's what happens with our bodies. So when we are, using our limitations or our disabilities or whatever it may be as a reason to not get up and move, we actually do increase the decaying of our body, because then our bodies get rusty and they don't want to stretch and be as flexible, or they don't want to, they don't, like my joints, they don't want to bend the right way anymore, and they're meant to. Well, exercise prevents your physical breakdown. And so it's so important to keep that up. Exercise fights things, as we mentioned before, it improves moods, and it fights depression. And believe it or not, so if you're taking medication for any kind of depression and you're not exercising, you need to start exercising. Exercise has been proven to prevent certain diseases like Alzheimer's. And you don't even have to do a crazy amount of exercise, guys. Get this. According to Wendy Suzuki, who is, by the way, a neuroscientist, if you exercise a minimum of 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, you can prevent things like Alzheimer's. I don't know about y'all guys, but that is huge, because how many things can prevent things like diseases like Alzheimer's? That is scary, and we easily buy into this idea that we don't have control over those things. Well, yeah, actually we do. And so exercise is more than just looking fit or feeling good, although that also is very important, because when you are fit and you look good, you feel good. And guys, that's going to increase your productivity. That's going to increase your mood, your happiness with life, and all kinds of things. But it's even larger than that. It prevents diseases like Alzheimer's, and you don't even have to do a lot. Do 30 minutes of movement. Do some aerobics, get your heart pumping. An extra walk around the block. Go walking. I have heard so many times that walking can can bring so many benefits on its own. And if you've got stairs in your house or at work or wherever you're at, use those instead of the elevator. I started doing that at my job, and not only did it increase my endurance, but it helped me avoid awkward situations in the elevator. Um, so benefits also include attention, focus, memory, and guys, this is very important, and I think we know why. I mean, we're all about talking about how our attention span has gotten decreased down to 3 seconds. I mean, that's not good, right? So, if we give ourselves, if we take care of ourselves and give ourselves the time to exercise, we're going to take care of our body and so many other things in our life as well that come along with that. Now, let's move on to sleep, because this one is one of my favorite of these 4 topics. And the reason is because sleep is something that I've struggled with my entire life. Mostly, well, I want to say my entire life, but mostly once I hit high school. And the reason that happened is because I was very, very sleep deprived. And I also was on this road of trying to learn how to become an entrepreneur. I got fed this idea of sleep when you die. You know, successful people never rest. You have to constantly be busy, constantly be going. And I bought into that. And also, um, I was I wouldn't say picked on, but kind of looked down on, like shamed and questioned why I slept a lot. Now, guys, mind you, I'm one of those people that has to have about 8 or 9 hours of sleep. I have to have about 8 hours of sleep at least to be fully productive and such. And some people run on shorter than that. Like, not everybody's sleep patterns are going to be the same. But again, like, I'm not here to tell you to go lift weights when I'm talking about exercise. Same thing. I'm not here to tell you the exact sleep pattern you need to follow through with. I'm just here to tell you to get to know your own sleep pattern and to get to know yourself. What sleep pattern do you have? How many hours of sleep do you need to be productive during the day? Pay attention to that. Because that's important. And I'll explain in just a minute more around that. But back to my story, I mean, even when I would take naps, I had people who around me who would wake me up. They didn't want me to nap. And I didn't understand what was so wrong with it. I don't know. I guess maybe they thought I was being lazy, and that caused me to have chronic sleep deprivation. And so I just grew this mindset that basically sleep is the last thing I need to be doing on my list. And funny thing is, you know, God God worked 6 days and rested the 7th and called that the Sabbath and commanded us to rest on the Sabbath day. And whether or not you're a Christian, my point to that is God himself rested. And so I think it's all right to say that, resting is pretty important, and I think sleep is too. And I don't think I'm wrong on that. Now, I ended up finding out recently that sleep, well, I say recently, but I would say in the last year or so, that how important sleep actually is. And this is why I put it on this episode of how it is vital even to life. Well, there are so many different benefits of sleep, just like there are exercise. And these are very easily overlooked in our society. The whole, you're going to sleep when you die. If you want to be successful, you can't sleep and you can't rest and you got to be busy. Guys, there's a difference between being busy and being productive. And I'm telling you, if you don't get the proper amount of sleep, you're not going to be as productive as you want to be. And even if you do get what you need to get done, you're not going to enjoy doing it. And that one I can guarantee you on, because you're not even going to be half awake to even enjoy, even really know what you're doing. I mean, guys, have you ever been sleep deprived? Tell me that you are fully aware of all your surroundings, including yourself, and why in the world you're feeling this. I'm sorry, but me, I get cranky, and I don't really feel motivated to do anything. And so when you are trying to be productive, let me list out why sleep can interfere with that if you aren't getting the right amount of sleep, or even reaching your your deep sleep cycle. First of all, you're sluggish. You're not really feeling up to it. You're not motivated. And you don't necessarily need to be motivated, nor should you rely on motivation for doing tasks. But that definitely that's definitely absent when you don't have good sleep. And in fact, most of the time you're dreading your day already because you just can't get your brain working and going. And yeah. And maybe you're trying to present something. Do you know that our memory decreases when we don't sleep? So it's quite ironic that our college kids are getting sleep deprived by doing so much work, and yet it's so hard to retain all that information in order to pass the test. And so the other thing that sleep decreases is our creativity. So again, if you're a creator, you need inspiration. We often have to think outside the box when we're doing something or we're making something that is in our work, or especially if we're trying to reach goals. And that creativity is squashed because we just can barely figure out how to turn the coffee machine on that morning. Yeah. I mean, the Alzheimer's, believe it or not, like exercise, sleep prevents Alzheimer's. So, if the memory and creativity and just not wanting to feel like crap didn't get your attention, what about the Alzheimer's? What about preventing diseases? Guys, I think that's pretty important. And our focus, And believe it or not, our genes, our DNA itself, according to the TED Talk I was listening to by Matt Walker, the genes in our DNA can actually switch off when we are depriving our bodies of sleep. Guys, we were made to sleep. Seriously. It's a natural thing. It is meant to be. Why are we going against that? Guys, don't think that you need to be busy to be successful. Because there have been so many times that I have tried to pull all-nighters or get stuff done on 4 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep. And I'm telling you, it just doesn't even really get done. And the sloppiness is not acceptable. And it's quite embarrassing. So if you have somebody who's not allowing you to sleep, or if you're being fed these ideas that you don't need to sleep, guys, get those people out of your room right now and go to sleep. And get those ideas out of your head because they're not true. Take it from me. And don't take it from me. Do the research, guys. I'm telling you. Not only are there health benefits on this, I mean huge ones, but there's also your potential to get successful the right way. And like exercise and sleep, our third pillar would be food, which has many different benefits. And again, like exercise and sleep, I'm not going to go over the exact foods you need to be putting in your body. Guys, I'm not a dietitian, okay? Do your research like I did mine. But what I will tell you is why food's great. Believe it or not, food actually affects many more things in our bodies than just how fat we can get or the chemicals and that we get from these processed foods and all this other stuff that you've heard. I mean, come on. That stuff is obvious, if you want to be healthy and you don't want to get all these crazy, again, diseases, definitely eat the right foods and not junk foods and processed foods and all these bad things. But actually, believe it or not, food affects our brains. And it makes sense. I mean, just like what kind of fuel you put in your vehicle affects how it runs. I mean, it's the same thing, guys. Food is our fuel, and it does matter what we have. And I encourage you, next time you go shopping or go to eat something, look at the ingredient list and actually ask yourself if you know what half of those things are. And I'm not joking. That's the sad part. If you can, eat as much fresh food as you can. And guys, cook your own food. I know not all of us like cooking, and it's not always the easiest thing to learn, especially if you don't know how. Also, in our day in society, we always say we're so busy and we just buy into fast food and all this stuff. But guys, I'm telling you, take care of your body. The time, the patience, the work, the effort, it's worth it. When you cook your own food rather than eating out, you can control what you put in there. You can control how much you put in there. And therefore, you can control how your body is being nourished. And when I mean, I'll go out to restaurants or, go out to eat and I'll love a certain dish. But I then will look up a recipe or take note of what ingredients I notice that are in there. And then I'll attempt to make it at home. That's my little That's my little secret there. Because, yes, guys, I love eating all kinds of stuff. And my bad thing is that I have a sweet tooth. I love sugar and I have to discipline myself so much because sugar, too much sugar is really not good. Same thing with salt. Be mindful how much salt you eat. And I know, like, there's someone in my life who was like, yeah, I got to stop eating so much salt, but everything's so bland because, they were used to putting salt a lot on everything. And I was like, I know how you feel because I started that a while back. Once you start like reducing the amount of salt you put on your food, you actually will start tasting the food um, and the flavors and appreciate that flavor. And it takes time, but it's worth it. Guys, I wouldn't be telling you this if it wasn't important. Like, the funny thing is, when you exercise, you feel good. When you sleep and you wake up, you feel good. When you have to discipline yourself on food, you're not so happy. Like, this one's the funny one because you don't really want to cut out or change, everything that you might be eating now if it's, not the best thing to be putting in your body. But the cool thing about this one being food is that in the long term, you start to love it. You start to crave the natural, fresh foods. You start to love the taste, or not just the taste, the feeling of having the fresh food and healthy foods in your body because you can feel the difference. And you actually don't want to consume all the oily, greasy junk foods that you used to have. I'm not lying, guys. I mean, I feel this way about sugar, and that's my biggest weakness. I don't crave sweets as much as I used to. In fact, it's easy for me to turn from them now. And I'm glad. I'm so thankful because my body actually can feel the difference. Taking care of your body, taking care of your brain, they take care of your emotions. They take care of your productivity. You become a successful, capable, happy person. You become confident. But most importantly, you can become loved. And that's where the fourth pillar, friendship, comes in. Guys, I think that friendship is so much more than it's made out to be. So, if you're an introvert like me, you probably have a hard time making friends, and chances are you're not the best at keeping in touch. Look, I'm not here to coach you on how to be the best friend ever, but what I will say is, even if it's just that one best friend, and I'm not even going to call them your best friend because in my experience, I went so long without a best friend. I had good friends, but I didn't really feel like I had a best friend. And what I will say though is, again, I'm not here to teach you how to be the best friend or where to find your best friend or how to make your best friend. All I'm here to tell you is to have one. Have a friend. And it doesn't have to be your best friend also. Listen, if you just have a true friend, that's what I'm going to tell you to have is a true friend. Because the thing is, we were never meant to walk alone. We were never meant to go through life and be expected to hold ourselves up. Two is better than one. The Bible talks about when one is down, the other can carry you. And that is what I want you to keep in your heart and apply in your life. Because too often we find ourselves trying to accomplish life and all our problems on our own and not want to burden other people with how we feel or what we're going through. Sometimes we just feel so awful, we don't want to be around anybody. And that can be for many reasons. The fear of hurting other people or feeling embarrassed and other reasons too. I've been there too, guys. Like, I know. The last thing that you probably want, if you're anything like me, in those times of being down, is to go out and socialize. So I'm not going to tell you to do that. What I will say though is have that friend or friends, those friends or friend that you know you can always confide in, that you can turn to. And in fact, I'll even share something with you it's a tip that I took a long time ago when I was listening to a video similar to this. Basically, surround yourself with certain friends. Guys, pick your friends wisely. And I say that because who we are around can influence us and shape us. And I noticed very recently that there were traits that I was developing and I didn't know where it came from because I never really acted or talked that way before. And then I started realizing who I was getting that from. And if you have a toxic person in your life, it really affects you health-wise, mentally, and then it reflects in your everyday life. And that can be very scary because that can hold you back from who you're trying to be, who you're meant to be, actually, bettering yourself, personal development, and also your goals in life and your achievements. Believe it or not, the people that are around us can actually help or hinder us. And that's what this person I was listening to was talking about. Surround yourself with certain type of people. Surround yourself with somebody who's more of a mentor, who you can learn from. Surround yourself with somebody who can be that person at your level and understand you. Have a friend who actually can hold you accountable to who you're trying to be and what you say, and who can be honest with you and not afraid to hurt your feelings to better you, not to offend you, but to help you stay true to who you are, even if that means telling you the truth you don't want to hear. Have a person, a cheerleader, an encouraging person. Have these different people in your life because they will help you. And you also will help them. And you don't realize it at the time, but we rub off on each other. Like you're going to learn things from them and grow from them, but you're also molding them, and you're also bringing things to the table that they need. So we were never meant to be alone. Even as leaders, a lot of people think the leader is so lonely way up there. And guys, that's not what a leader is. A good leader, depends on the people that are following them, because those are the people that are holding them up. If you're a bad leader, then yeah, you're pretty selfish. You think that you can do anything and you really don't care about what other people think. That's not how we were meant to be as leaders or followers. We all are are together. We make each other up. And when you especially are going through something that can be like a hardship, that especially is when you want people around, your friends, your family, whoever that is, that's who I'm talking about, that true friend. Because it's in those moments that they might give you something like a piece of wisdom or some encouragement, something that you really need that you wouldn't source from yourself. They also will give you strength. They'll give you love. They'll remind you that you are more than what you feel or what you're going through. And that's why connection and being part of a community is also so important. And in my experience, I'm part of my church community, and we have a mother group, a group for mothers that I have just started going to, and it's like it was destined because I was going through such a hard time emotionally, and I just felt so alone. I didn't understand how I could be so different until I went to this group and realized I wasn't really different. There's nothing special about me. I'm not alone. I have people who understand and people who actually have gone through it, and so they know now how to get through hard times. People I can look to as hope. And so what I'll say is that you need friends or a true friend. And that friend is going to be like a pillar in your life. And hopefully you'll be like a pillar to them. I gained a friend, finally, a true friend, I would say, and she has helped me through so much. Not because I had to ask, but because she cared and she reached out on her own several times. And now we look to each other and we help each other. And I'm so thankful that she came into my life. And maybe there's something that I'm providing value to her, or just being a friend is enough. I hope, because she means a lot to me. And my best friend, my husband, that being able to have that person that will love you through and through, no matter what, that's the most empowering thing. And it makes me the happiest. That makes me the happiest. And so you're not alone. You are loved. This is how you become your happy, successful person that you've always meant to be.